Hi folks, I'm Tao from GitLab's no-code and low-code single engineer group. Today I'll showcase the no-code automation, a new product direction that I've recently chosen to productionize. So why automation? Regardless of your role as a professional, when you log onto your computer every day in the morning, you're most likely working off a queue of tasks, whether it's from your to-do list, emails, Slack messages, tickets, merge or pull requests. Of course, many of the tasks require creative thinking, but there are also tons of them that feels a bit mechanical and repetitive. Just imagine the time you can save by automating some of those boring tasks. So coming out of the pandemic, the increasingly distributed and asynchronous workflows also means that less tolerance of the time wasted while waiting for simple actions to take place, such as assigning a user when a label is added to an issue. If you're already familiar with GitLab, you understand the continuous software delivery, or CI/CD, is essentially a form of automation, except they're designed for developers to manage their code. Business users would love to automate their tasks too. But automation is not easy. They're unique, which means there's no one-size-fits-all solution. From team to team, business to business, they all work differently, and it requires uniquely codified rules to automate. They're also complex. Many workflows involve multiple business functions across multiple systems. They're costly too. They require not only the coding skills to build and maintain and operate, but also process tend to change from time to time, so there's no one-off investment there. And this is where the no-code automation comes to rescue. No-code automation tools allow users to define and manage rule-based programs that automate tasks without writing a single line of code. So what's significant here is the self-service model. The no-code tool helps business users to become programmers themselves, and then they can teach computers to do their job on behalf of them. It achieves that by replacing the programming language that takes ages to learn and perfection with a user-friendly and intuitive graphical interface with very little learning curve. It may sound very optimistic if you are coming from the late 90s, where the 4GL failed miserably. But these days, many companies have already achieved great commercial success by offering these tools that customers love. For example, since launching back in 2011, Zapier is now used by millions of users around the world to automate integrations among popular apps and services. Jira Automation, for example, that launched 3 years ago, has reached 10 billion executions. So our vision is a GitLab native no-code tool for business users to automate and orchestrate tasks across the entire DevSecOps lifecycle. And the keywords here are the automate and orchestrate. We want to automate simple tasks that the UI-based tool is able to handle, while offload the more complex tasks to the more capable runtimes and professional programmers, such as CI pipelines, where the code shines. If you look at the competitive landscape, Jira Automation is very UI-centric by the nature of Atlassian's platform, of course. GitHub Actions, on the other hand, are popular among developers, given its code-driven approach and the associated flexibility. We want to bring the best of the both worlds together. We envisage a hybrid model where the no-code automation is capable of completing simple tasks without writing a single line of code, and at the same time able to orchestrate code executed from other GitLab capabilities. I also want to give you a sneak peek into the UX design that we have so far. On this screen, you can see we have the trigger, condition, and action constructs. You don't have to learn how this UX works, but we want to make it kind of intuitive just by reading through those descriptions. You can see this automation rule gets triggered when an issue is created. And the condition are, we have 3. So the issue is less than 1 day old, and there's no label attached yet. And we have 2 threads on the issue. So when those conditions are met, we want to take action. The first is assign a label to it, which is active, and also want to mention a user, for example, a PM. You can also see the page that managed the automation rules and their status, the execution, the logs, and everything. So I want to give a special shout out to the designer, Andy Vogt, for helping out refining the UX. So we also have architectural design that put into place. It's quite conventional, and you can also say it's a bit boring. We have the standard front end and back end architecture. In the front end, we have two apps. One focused on the building experience, another one is on the management. These two front end apps talk to the back end through a GraphQL layer. And on one side, we have the storage service that save the rules by DSL into YAML files in the code repository managed by GitLab, so you get the version control for free. We also have the cache layer in Postgres or Redis, so those automation get triggered by the hooks when certain events occurs, and then we put them into a queue and for the worker to pick up and run those rules. They're able to interpret the DSLs and just take action from there. So with all this design in place, let's talk about the execution strategy. We want to start with project management, such as automating the tasks around issues and epics. This is a business domain mostly owned by the non-developer users, which means that they're going to benefit the most from the no-code tools. We also want to focus on the UX for both user friendliness and extensibility. This is important because our goal is to give everyone the opportunity to automate their repetitive tasks regardless of their technical background. The extensibility part of the framework, when it's done right, it can make the expansion into other area of the DevSecOps lifecycle a lot easier down the track. We also want to bias toward delivering the customer value quickly because this is a one-man team, so we have very limited capacity. For example, despite the need for advancing our event-driven architecture to power the event subscription and triggering mechanism, I might just reuse the one from webhooks to accelerate the time to market, and then migrate over when the new eventing framework is ready. So let me quickly replay the demo that I recorded in the previous update for those who hasn't seen the demo yet. Imagine we want to build an automation that notifies the product manager when a new GitLab issue has received more than 2 comments. So you can see from the screen, the automation is broken down into 3 sections. With a trigger, we're going to select issue, and the condition with date, we want to make sure it's a new issue. One date, and also the issue has no labels yet. Lastly, we want to make sure the issue has more than 2 comments. Now with conditions set, we can move to actions. So we can apply a label, say active, and then we want to notify our product manager, who is Harriet. Cool, so the workflow is ready. Let's go ahead and create a new issue. Visual builder. Such a good idea. So wait for a couple seconds. Without any comments, the issue shouldn't make any change. Now let's say idea, the first comment, second that, and let's say as soon as I add the 3rd comment, if you look at the label, here is the new label added, and now we have a notification sent out by the automation. Really forgot to mention, if you have some idea you want to share with me, please leave the comments either here or find the link in the description below. Thank you very much for your time, and see you next time. So in terms of the progress in ETA, I would say we've already made a series of hard decisions in terms of design and architecture. And right now we are knee-deep in the implementation phase with a few IMRs being worked on in parallel and a couple of them already merged. Just looking at the backlog, it looks like it's going to take perhaps 2 to 3 months to complete the first cut of the MVC. So I've also got a few links here for those of you who are interested in diving into details. I'd like to say thank you very much for your time, and I really look forward to hear your feedback.